Started in the car. I'm going to be walking and talking at some point here, but the problem is I didn't check my battery, so I'm charging my battery right now, so I figured I would start in the car. You can see my kid over there. She's horseback riding today. So, yeah, it's been an interesting week, you know, politically, which we're not going to get into. I was kind of searching around for some new music. And I don't know what you guys think about this new song. Probably a lot of you won't be into it. It's a very poppy song. It's Bruno Mars and Rosie or something like that. What's up, Sam? I'm out here at a stable here where my daughter goes horseback riding. I hope to show off the place a little bit, but like I said, the freaking battery's almost dead, so I'm charging it right now. So as soon as it looks good enough, I'll just start walking around. Got all these horses and stuff out here. But yeah, this is probably not your type of music, Sam, but you heard the new Bruno Mars, and I think her name's Rosie or whatever. I guess it's APT is what it's called, but man, I can't. I'm like such a sucker for a like good melody. What is up, Chance? Didn't I sent you something the other? What was that I sent you the other day? Oh, that Beatles cover. I'll talk about that in a minute. There's something very interesting that. Well, I'm gonna do a video on it, but screw it, we'll do it and we'll talk about it now because it's kind of happening right now. So there's this new song, Bruno. The version is So Lonely, but oh, I've never heard him do that one. Yeah, I like Bruno Mars. He's a talented guy. I have the Hoodlums. I think that was his first album, and man, it has a lot of good hits on it. But I'm such like a sucker for like these pop hits, and it's gonna wear out. I don't think it's gonna be a lasting song, but that APT song is like, I find myself freaking saying it all the time, even making my kids nuts. That's their generation, that type of music. Trevor, what's up, man? Yeah, K-pop, yeah. Yeah. I know, you got a little secret hidden like K-pop CD collection, Trevor. I know what's up. Anyway, yeah, so it's just catchy. I don't know. I don't know why I get into those songs, but yeah, something interesting happened at yesterday when I was at a record store, local store. I need to do a video in there too. It's a really good. It's a small store, but it's has a lot of selection. They're called D&J Records over in Dunedin, and we were in there, or I was in. Well, at first, a couple days ago, I saw a short that they did, and they were talking about some of these Beatles records that they got in. Trevor has it. Yeah, he does. Trevor has it. I don't know if I can highlight your stuff here. I know. I'm just doing the YouTube live thing. I'm not using StreamYard, so I can't even bring people up. So I'm like, oh, and they had like they had a reissue of the Butcher cover, and I just kind of like wanted one just to kind of, I don't know, kind of just, even if it's a reissue, just because I had yesterday today, I had the one with the suitcases, and I checked it really thoroughly, and no, it's not a hidden Butcher cover, but I was like, I want to get that, and she had it at a good price, so I'm like, let me just get it for, even though I'm trying to downsize my collection, I'm like, let me get that in there because that's something I want to hold on to, even if it's a reissue. So I go in there, and man, I wish I had it with me. Well, I have the picture. And Chance, I think I sent it to you. So this cover, and I looked it up. I think I Google imaged it and looked up the cover. Yeah, I'm looking to see. So yeah. It's this cover. So look at it. I mean, you can tell. Yeah, I mean, right away. I even in the video, it was kind of small. I'm like, that doesn't look like Revolver. You know, right? A lot of issues there. So I go over there, and I'm gonna get because somebody else was looking at the Butcher cover one. They didn't want it, so I was able to grab that one. And I'm looking at this Revolver one, and I Google image it, and I'm looking at it, and like, and it's I've seen something where somebody was doing something with alternate covers and all that, so I'm like, oh, okay, it's kind of cool. It's sealed. I mean, it's not going to be worth anything, obviously, but Um, so I'm like, oh, I'll just pick it up. What the heck? Have this alternate cover that makes conversation, you know? Because it looked, well, at first it looked good, and then there was, you know, obviously, you know, I noticed the differences in the images and all that. Um, but then, so I get the album. Do you like God? You know, we don't talk about religion or politics here. Um, so I open it up. I'm like, you know, probably about 15 minutes away from the record store at this point. I open it up. I'm like, oh, let's see what this thing looks like. You know, break the seal, open it up, and I start pulling it out, and you can already, I'm already going, you know, this is interesting because I'm just making sure somebody doesn't need me. Somebody, the paper, the record cover there, whatever the hell that thing's called, I can't think right now. Anyway, that thing, the paper. I got distracted. Sorry. Looked old, like brownish, you know, like aged, and I'm like, that's interesting that it's aged brownish inside of a that's not that old, right? I don't think it didn't. And supposedly this collection came from somebody whose dad had passed away, and um, they were selling these records, and there were legit records in there. They had the reissue of the Red and Blue albums that was in there, so they had some legitimate stuff, but obviously some questionable stuff. So I pull it out, and I pull the vinyl out, and I look at it, and I go, huh, this doesn't look like Revolver, because it says the best of country pickin' lickin' something. I'm like, oh man, it's not even the right album. So I don't know what the story is, you know, what really happened here. Obviously somebody put a crap record together, or to mislead people. So I called back at the store. I'm like, hey, you might want to check. There was a couple other ones there that I thought was weird. There was a, you know, there's like a Beatles, was it 65? That's legit. I can't remember if it was here or in England, which release that was. But this one said Beatles 68. Hey, Rob. Yeah, I don't have StreamYard, but I'm sure you're working too. So, so it said Beatles 68. I think I sent Rob this picture too. Yeah, I think Rob was the first one I sent it to, because he's, you know, he's a Beatles guy. I'm like, you ever seen this cover before? So anyway, there was another one that said Beatles 68, and I look at it, it's a double, and it's sealed also. And you flip it over, look at all the songs, and it's every track in order off of the White Album. And I'm like, was there something else? You know, because I don't know all my Beatle variants. I don't know. There could have been something weird, rare, whatever, but it seemed newer. So if it seems newer, then it can't be, you know, old, you know, something like that. So I didn't grab that one, but you know, I told her you might want to check that one and a couple others that I saw. You don't follow new music? Finally, a Beatles guy way in, yeah. So yeah, so I called her and said, hey, just to give you a heads up. So she was cool. She's like, yeah, bring it in. I'll either do a store credit or you can have your money back. That's fine. And I'm like, man, I don't know if you want to go and open them now just to check them and then maybe still sell them for around the same price because they're different. I don't know. You know, it puts her in a tough spot. I think the majority of the stuff that she had there, you know, she doesn't discuss how much she pays for these things, but the majority of the stuff she can sell and get. Like the Red and the Blue were sealed, so if she got a good deal, then hopefully she's going to make her money, even if she can't sell these other ones, or she might want to take a risk with them or whatever. She still should hopefully make her money and then make her profit. I'm hoping for her, because like I said, it was probably 20 records in there, and probably I would say 4 to 5 are questionable, and I got one. And you know, and it's like these things that you do, it's like, why you go, you know, I don't feel like I was fooled because I already knew I was getting myself into something that probably wasn't on the up and up, but it was like weird enough where I wanted to take a gamble with it, because it was like, oh, it was a cool cover, it could be a conversation piece, you know. I know people don't come over to listen to your records, but every once in a while I'll show them like a different album cover if it comes up in conversation or whatever. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. Somebody would go back there today to to get my money back on that one. So, and speaking of while I'm there, I dropped off. I got that new Cure album, and I was all excited because I was watching the In Groove, and he was talking about the Cure album having two different masters. There's like a color variant that was mastered. My daughter's phone just keeps dinging back there. I can't remember who did the color variant, but the black variant of it was done by. Hopefully, I got the name right. I'm going to turn this phone off in a second. I think it was Robert Ludwig, one of the heavies. So I got the copy from the store, get it home. As soon as I open it up, it looked like you could tell it was a bad pressing. Like it was flat. That wasn't the issue. But have you ever gotten or purchased and opened a record and looked at it and it has the only way I can describe it, it looks like it had water stains on it, like this faint kind of like almost like if you had washed it and then it's set to dry and it just stained it almost, and it's very faint. It was so I'm like, all right, I could probably deal with that, but I have a feeling we're going to have a problem here with the way it plays. And it did. It had a lot of pops, just crackly. I wouldn't say, it's enough to be annoying because there's this quiet. If for the new album, you get into it and all of a sudden these pops and things start happening. You're like, oh. So more awesome quality control there. So I called her, and I don't know if the two had anything to do with each other. Could have just been bad one way or the other, bad pressing. And then that came along later, but with the stain and the noise, I'm like, so she's cool about it. She's gonna I dropped it off when I went in there for the Speedle stuff yesterday, and she's gonna replace it with a colored one. I don't really care as long as it plays fine. I like the new album, so yeah. So that was the other thing. What was I gonna talk to you about? There was one other thing too with that. These quality control things are getting out of hand. Paying this much for albums, and I talked to her. I said because I felt bad returning it because it's just a small store, but she said she doesn't really get too much of a fight from. Holy crap! I'm gonna turn this thing on. She doesn't get much of a fight from the distributors to return things, so she was completely cool with it. Who is this? I don't know. The other thing I was while I was thinking of it, because I brought it back to the store to show her, and this is where you got to be careful when you're in your record stores. Now, I'm not saying they do this on purpose, but she has the lighting not as bright. I guess it's a little more dimmed in there, because when I'm at home and just underneath a ceiling fan light with like two lights on it, I could clearly see the issue with the album, the stains that I was talking about. But in the store, I pulled it out. I'm like, yeah, look, and I'm looking. I'm like, it's here. She knows me. I've have a pretty good relationship with them now. She's like, oh no, I believe you. It's fine. I said, but I want to show you, And I flipped it over because one side was worse than the other. Flipped it over. I'm like, I can't. She goes, yeah, my light. And I looked up, and she had like, the fluorescent lights, but then she had like a film over it with like clouds or something, so it made it even dimmer. So when you're in these record stores, you got to kind of think about your lighting. And I've seen people, and I always kind of went, oh, that's kind of nerdy, where they're in there with little flashlights and they shine it on the vinyl. Or even I've seen somebody with a magnifying glass with light, and in there looking. And now I see why. I mean, you have to. Vinyl's a whole other monster. It's about the music, but there's a whole other monster that comes along with it. Like CDs, you can tell pretty quickly if it's scratched or whatever. And a lot of times if it's scratched, it doesn't really affect the sound, right? Unless it's a deep, scratch or whatever. But with records, and I think that's why this is part of my little journey here of reducing my collection. And just getting it to, my essential stuff that I want. I I pulled a Dusty Springfield last night. It's like, yeah, it has good songs, but when am I ever going to put on Dusty Springfield? And you know, part of me before in the past, it was like, let me put on or keep some albums, you know, so when people come over, because when I first got into vinyl, I'm like, this is cool, you know, I'm gonna, because we have all the gatherings at our house for all the holidays, and anytime there's a get together, people come to our house. So I was like, cool, I could play vinyl, you know, put on these records, and you know, but I'm like, as time went by, you know, people weren't really even paying attention to the music. You know, they were having their own conversations, they were looking at their phones. So now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start kind of weeding out those, even though, yeah, I think it was Dusty in Memphis, but I already had it tagged. I keep a spreadsheet of all my music, and it was already tagged, and I put notes in there that it had a lot of pops and crackles, and so pulled it. So starting to pull a lot more records, telling myself, you know, it's again, if you saw any of those videos of me when I was putting all my records back after the hurricane, when I got rid of my books, when I got rid of a lot of CDs, the ones that I chose to get rid of, I don't miss them. I don't remember half of what I had. It doesn't. So I'm doing that with the albums. Like, just reduce the collection down, get it to where you want, and then I can really get to know. First, you get to know your albums, because I have albums that I know that I like, but I don't really know the songs on them, which is weird. But also know, you know, what the condition of it is. You know, all these different things about the album, because it's a whole. It's not just listening to music. It's a hobby. You have to, you know. Yeah, vinyl's a whole nother monster. You know, when you have these pops and clicks that you have to deal with, you have to look at the record itself. And I guess I never, when I first got back into the hobby of vinyl, I didn't think about that, because when I was a kid or a teenager or whatever, and I had albums, I don't know, I didn't even pay attention to pops and clicks. And I know as you get older, you're more meticulous about things, and you pay attention to things. I don't remember. I remember listening to albums, and I don't remember. They had to have had pops and clicks, because I didn't have the best record player, and the albums were older. Yeah, invest the time for the time you invest. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But it's hard when you're at a record store, record show or something. You got to make a quick decision. You get excited, you know. And I don't know, Chance, you've been to more record shows than I have. What is your? I mean, you keep going back. So, what is your overall experience? I mean, you can look at an album, and I guess you can really tell. Yeah, well, this album's going to be okay. It's not going to have like skips or the repeat thing that albums do. But you never know how clean it's going to be, and I guess that's where you buy a major, really good cleaner that costs, you know, a decent amount of money. So I'm assuming your experience is still good. You know, I don't think have you ever done a video on like you've talked about it a little bit, I think, but like kind of the letdowns, the dark side of the record show kind of thing. You know, so that's why I'm pickier. Like I sell some albums. I've started selling some of my albums because they're in really good shape. I have a couple jazz albums that I'm just not into, and they're really good. And I'm just, you know, throwing them on like eBay right now. But I'm listening to each one of these albums, and I don't grade them. I'm just very honest about how I present them, and I tell them, yep, there's some pops and clicks. I say there's no skips or repeats, but also put in there, we have you don't know when you get your record player how it's going to play on there, but I can tell you right now there's some pops and clicks, or no, it plays pretty clean. And I kind of, when I do a description of an album, I'm more likely to make it look worse than what it is sometimes, just so people aren't surprised, you know, that kind of thing. Let's see, I always pull out the record and do the minimal amount of research to decide if I want to negotiate or not. But yeah, I've been burned a few times. Yeah, hard learnings, and you get excited. Like I made that mistake at the Tampa one when I went there about a year ago or 2 years ago. I saw Piano Man, it said first pressing, and you want to believe these guys, and I did. I didn't even look at it. It was sealed, It was a sealed Piano Man. It looked older. And it was older. It was like an 80s version. You know, Piano Man came out in, what, 72? 71? I should know this stuff. 73? Somewhere in there. Don't worry, I'm a Billy Joel expert. But when I got in the car and we were driving away and I was kind of looking at my records, there was a freaking UPC thing on there. I'm like, knew right away. Well, obviously wasn't, because UPC didn't come until like maybe late 70s, you know, early 80s. And I was like, man, that's kind of crappy that somebody would do that. What did it mean, first pressing of a reissue? You know, what is that? I don't know. But yeah, you learn your lessons. You get excited. It's overwhelming, you know. If I go to a record show, it's going to be a while. Even though I am picking up some things, I am being very picky about it. Like The Cure, I don't like all the Cure stuff, but I really like Disintegration. And when I heard this album, this new one, it had a vibe of Disintegration, that those long, drawn out pieces that build and build and build, and then Robert Smith's voice comes in, and you know, he's this one I can relate to too, because he's kind of looking at life and the longevity that we have and things like that. So I'm really enjoying it, and I'm like, yeah, this is going to be one that sticks. Like, you can kind of tell now that an album's good, but it's like, is it do I need to get it? You know, is it going to be one I'm going to go back and play? And that's what I want my record collection to be now. Are those albums I'm just going to put on, I'm going to enjoy all the way through. I'm not going to put on and go, yeah, it's okay, you know. In fact, we were in the store. I was in the store yesterday, and we were talking, you know, I'm not going to get political. We were talking about some of that stuff, and we had similar beliefs and ideas. And we're kind of getting down in the dumps a little bit, and not even thinking about it, like, while we were talking, she whatever was playing, because she's actually a record store that for the most part plays records in there, and it ended, she went over, you know, and she puts on Carole King's Tapestry, and right away, like, just the mood changed. Like, that song came on, you could tell, you know, it was the Mo-Fi version, so you could really feel it and all that. And I'm like, yeah, I think we're done talking about the other crap. And she's like, yeah. I said, I feel much better this song on. So those are the albums that I want to, that's what I want in my collection, those albums that just you put on and go, yeah, you know, these are, this is, yeah, this, I love this thing all the way through, especially those albums that I've had, you know, since the 80s, either on cassette or CD, and still have them, that have stuck with me. Those, and then those are great too, because they bring back the memories of when you used to play them, you know, 30 years ago, going on 40 years ago. That's insane. Yeah, so, yeah. So that's what I was, that's my adventures lately. It's been interesting. Let's see if we can get out of the car for a minute. I think this thing's charged up enough. My little, yeah, see, I usually do StreamYard, so I put it the other way. Let me see if I can move this thing around. Give me a second. Let's see if I can change my, there it is. It's not only a, what do you call this, a selfie stick? That doesn't even sound right. I shouldn't have a selfie stick. I guess all boys have a selfie stick. Anyway, it's a weapon. So if somebody comes at me, I'll beat them down with my hard plastic selfie stick. Let's see. I don't know if I can turn this or not. I guess I'll just hold it, because I can do the whole sideways thing. But anyway, yeah. So that's been my adventures. Those have been my adventures lately. One sec. There we go. Didn't like what I was doing there for a second. All right, so let's walk, right? Everybody's been talking about the walk and talk lately. It's just been coming up here and there, and just these little questions when I'm doing a live stream or in and other things that I do. People are like, when are you walking and talking again? So, and the weather's perfect right now. So here we are at the stable. The stable's back there, all the horses. Kids out on the trail back there. Hope you guys can hear me okay. It's just weird. I'm holding my arm out. People are probably like, what the hell is this dude doing? But yeah, I want to get back. I had, in the beginning it was just collect. I got all this built up, this collection of over 1,000 records in a very short amount of time. And then it kind of felt overwhelming to me. I think ideally, yeah, if I, Mazzy, look at his situation. He's a single guy, has his own house, and he can have a library. And I think I would be fine with that. But, I live in a house with 3 other people. I have kind of a small room. And I don't have that lifestyle that he has. So if I had his lifestyle, I would absolutely have like a record room. I would have a book room, like a library. That's just not how my life works. So with that in mind, I kind of get a little anxious at times with all this music, and I get all the songs on these albums. So I want to bring it down a little bit and then see if it grows again. Now, I'm sure it will. I'm always going to pick something up. But I mean, it was like, I grew that collection really fast, really quick. And I was just crazy. I was just grabbing stuff, stuff that I didn't listen to. Oh, this sounds good. And made mistakes and all kinds of things. And it's a good experience. It was fun doing it. I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy it. But now I'm in a different, I think the hurricane kind of woke me up a little bit to what I was kind of thinking. And I just want to kind of do something a little different with my collection, and this is going to put some more stuff back out there. A lot of these albums I have, I'm getting rid of in really good shape. I've already sold a couple. People are getting really good prices. I'm not trying to kill people with it. I look at what they're selling for, and I usually undercut it a little bit to sell mine faster, and it's working pretty good. So it's just kind of like a new approach to my record collecting now. Not getting out of it. There are times where I'm banging my head against the wall. I'm like, why am I collecting these things? Because, these brand new record and the snap, crackle, pops. But there are many records that you get and they sound so good. So, and it's good to know that where I purchased them from, it's okay and it's easy to do a return. It doesn't hurt the store. Because I keep that in mind, and I don't know, I get, as a human, I keep those things in mind, even though I know they're a business. But you get to know these people on a personal level. You know what they're in it for. They're doing it for the love of the music. They put their own personal money into these stores. And I have in the past kept albums that I should have returned, and they probably would have taken back and not had an issue with. And that's why I asked her about the Cure album. I said, are you able to return these albums without, do you get kickback from your distributor? And she was like, no, absolutely not. We're good. Bring it in. So I feel better about that. So and then Kingfish, where I go, also they don't really have issues. So I have 2 places I can go, bring the record back. They'll try to get me a replacement, and they don't have a problem. She says you just got to stay on top of it, but that's just part of doing business. So So I feel better about that. So I'll be doing that more, because when you do get those stinkers, it's nice to know you can just replace it. And most of the time when you get that second album, you're good. Like The Cure, I mentioned it somewhere, and a lot of people are like, my copy's fine. So there's obviously good copies out there. So, and it happens. So I'm feeling a little bit better about that. So at least we can get them exchanged out or whatever. So knowing that, it's like I'm gonna stay in the game, because there is just no other format, in my opinion. When it's good, you can't beat vinyl. Even CDs sound good, but I'm not gonna be that person that says I can tell the difference between digital, analog. No,
but there's a warmth that vinyl possesses or obtains, and you get when that, like that Carole King. There's certain albums you put on, like some of these really good Blue Note reissues, the Tone Poet stuff. Man, holy crap! You just feel it, right? And you feel the warmth of it. So I don't want to give that up. So one thing I've been doing too is if the album doesn't have that feel, and I have it on CD, some albums I've gotten rid of because of that. So I'm getting the same kind of sound experience out of it. Might as well just keep the smaller format that I don't have to worry about later getting dirty and causing noise. Might as well just keep the CD version, let the other one go, and then it just goes right out there, and somebody who wants it will find it. So anyway, it's been about half an hour. Man, it's a nice morning. It's cloudy, so there's no sun, there's no humidity, and that's the big part. Because there are days where you get cloudy, but you're sweating because of the freaking sticky. I think they might be coming back with the horses too. So, but yeah, I'm gonna start doing these walk and talks. First of all, I gotta get this fat off my body. I'm about done with that. I got my triple chin going. So anyway, thanks for sticking around. I'll do a StreamYard next time. I know a lot of you guys are at work at this point, but I might be doing this on Friday mornings as an alternative to other channels that might be more stressful. I'm out here with the birds and the wind and the horses. So just bring you a nice calm Friday morning. You don't have to interact. You can just chill and listen to my bull crap. So there you go. Anyway, guys, hope you guys are doing good. You too, Chance. Have a good weekend. Hope everybody's doing well. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye. Now, how do you turn this thing off on the live? See, that's going to be interesting. Maybe this thing. There it is.